ערב טוב לכולם, שמי משה סיני, אני מנכ"ל רימון. מאוד נרגש, אני חושב שאף פעם לא היו ברימון, כל כך בבסיסטים תחת קורת גג אחת. מקווה שהגג הזה יחזיק מעמד. אבל זה ממש מרגש, ממש מחמם את הלב, ממש כיף לראות אתכם פה אצלנו ברימון. ואנחנו גאים גם היום לארח שני אומנים שבראיית כולנו זה ליגת על. אני חושב שזה מהטופ 10 שיש היום בעולם, סטיב ביילי וויקטור וותן, אז מגיע לפה מחיאות כפיים. אני רוצה להודות להם בשם כולנו, שהם באמת מצאו את הזמן להגיע לרימון, אחרי שהם עשו סבב בפסטיבל הג'אז באילת, והיום נמצאים יחד איתנו, ובהזדמנות זו אני באמת רוצה להודות גם לארי רוניץ, אריה, תרים את היד. הוא ראש מסלול הביצוע שלנו, וראש מחלקת הבסיסטים, ותכף גם אני אזמין אותו, ותכף הוא יספר לכם קצת מה קורה אצלו במסלול ובמגמה, ב2-3 דקות. אבל באמת בקונטנס הכללי, אני חושב שמה שמתחולל פה היום ברימון זה חלק באמת ממגמה של התחזקות והעצמת מסלול הביצוע ברימון על כל גווניו. אנחנו אירחנו כאן לפני שבוע את מיגל זנון, הסקסופוניסט הידוע, שהוא נתן קונצרט מדהים, סדנאות בסקסופון, כולל מופע בתיאטרון גבעתיים, ופסטיבל שהיה כאן ברימון. בהמשך אנחנו גם נכנסים די חזק לתחום הטכנולוגי, אז מתוכננת למעשה סדנה מאוד מאוד משמעותית עם אורחים בחו"ל, שגם רימון יארח כאן בתחום של טכנולוגיה ומוזיקה, אז אתם מוזמנים. ויום פתוח ברימון ב-28 בפברואר, שיוקדש למגמת הביצוע, בעיקר לנושא של קלידים ופסנתרנים, אבל גם לתחום של הבסיסטים יהיה מקום, ואתם מוזמנים להתעניין, להיכנס לאתר האינטרנט שלנו, ועדיין יש מקומות להגיע ב-28 לחודש לרימון. ובסך הכל אנחנו מאוד מאוד שמחים ומתרגשים על כך שהרבה נגנים, הרבה בסיסטים, הרבה חבר'ה שאוהבים את המקצוע, גם מגיעים לפה בשוטף ובכלל, ולארח שני מוזיקאים שמעבר להיותם מצוינים ובעלי יכולת, הם גם אוהבים לתת לנו את מה שיש להם. הם נפגשים הרבה עם סטודנטים, הם אוהבים את המקצוע, והם מחלקים את המיומנות שיש להם עם רבים אחרים. ואני חושב שזה חלק מהמתנה שיש לכל אחד ואחד מכם. כמוזיקאים, יש לכם מתנה, תעבירו אותה כל אחד בתחומו גם הלאה. אז שיהיה לנו ערב מדהים, ואני רוצה להזמין את אריה, בבקשה, לכמה מילים, ולהציג את האורחים. תודה רבה לכם.
תודה רבה לכם. אני רוצה להתחיל בתודות, אוקיי? אני קודם כל רוצה להודות לפסטיבל הג'אז באילת, לדובי, לניבה המקסימה שהייתה בקשר עם רוני קורל שלנו, והשיתוף פעולה זה הניב את הדבר הזה, והבנתי שגם היו הופעות נפלאות באילת. והתודה השנייה והמאוד מיוחדת היא לרועי שרף. איפה אתה רועי? זה רועי שרף. אוקיי? הסיפור הוא כזה, אני ביום רביעי בלילה יושב מול המחשב, נכנס לדמדומי שינה, פתאום אני מקבל מייל. סטיב כותב לי, I'm telling them about the mail and your base that got lost. אוקיי? הוא כותב לי, תקשיב, אני תקוע ברומא, חברת התעופה איבדה את הבאס שלי, אני נוחת ביום בלילה שבין רביעי לחמישי, ב2 בלילה, מיד אוסף אותי ואן, ואנחנו יוצאים בנסיעה לאילת ואין לי באס. עכשיו, אני רציתי ללכת לישון. ואז כתבתי פוסט לכל הבסיסטים, פוסט מאוד מאוד דחוף, ופשוט ביקשתי רחמים. אמרתי, תעזרו לנו, אחרת הם לא יעשו לא את ההופעה באילת ולא את הסדנה פה. והמון אנשים אני חייב להגיד, ואני נורא רוצה להגיד להם תודה על הכוונה והנתינה, והמון אנשים היו מוכנים לתת את הכלי. העניין הוא שהכלי של רועי היה הכלי היחידי שענה לקטגוריה של 6 מיתרים פרטלס. אני מצאתי את עצמי, נכנס ב12 בלילה לאוטו, ונוסע אליו הביתה. אוסף את הכלי, קובע עם ההפקה, קובע עם המונית, נוסע על המונית, נותן את הכלי, ואל תשאלו, בקצור, זה נורא משעמם הסיפור הזה, אבל בסופו של דבר, רועי, הצלת. תודה רבה. זה היה לי חשוב להגיד תודה. עכשיו אני רוצה לספר לכם קצת על המסלול בס. אני אתחיל מזה שהלוואי, כשאני הייתי בסיס צעיר, היה כזה מסלול בישראל. אין כזה, ואני אספר לכם את האמת, גם אין בעולם כזה. וזה מסלול שכל הרעיון מאחוריו הוא שכל מורה שמלמד בו הוא הטוב ביותר בתחומו. זה הרעיון. אמרתי, אם אני כבר עושה מסלול, אז בוא נעשה אותו ככה. בוא נביא אנשים כמו יוסי פיין. נכון? כן, מגיע לו. אור לוביאניקר שיושב פה. פרננדו קלוף, המתמחה בכל הנושא של לטיני, ויוראי אורון, שאחראי על כל תחום הג'ל, כן. ואני מטייל לי בתחומי הפופ-רוק, ואני חייב לציין שהשנה הראשונה התחילה כל כך יפה, זה מסלול מפואר, וכל מי שלא נמצא בו, מפסיד. ואני אומר את זה בלי להיות פוליטיקלי קורקט. אז אלה ביניכם שמתלבטים, אני חושב שזה המקום הנכון להיות בו. אתם יכולים לשאול את החבר'ה, הנה, יש פה, הם יושבים כאן מקדימה, תלמידי המסלול ותלמידי בס של רימון, אז מומלץ בחום, והדברים האמיתיים קורים פה, ואל תאמינו לי, תראו מה יקרה אחרי שאני ארד. אוקיי? אז המסלול הזה מטפל בכל הנושא של, כשאני יוצא מהבית, אני רוצה שיהיה לי ארגז כלים, וארגז כלים הזה צריך לכלול היום הרבה מאוד מיומנויות. כי ב-2017 במאה ה-21, העסק קשוח, ואתה צריך כלים, גם אם אתה נורא מוכשר. מוכשר זה נחמד, אבל זה לא מספיק. וזה הרעיון, להפוך את החבר'ה פה לנינג'ות, אם אפשר. ואני חייב להגיד שסיימנו סמסטר, כיף מטורף, המורים נהנים, התלמידים נהנים, יש אינטראקציה, יש אהבה, יש רצון, יש כוונה, פשוט להיות יותר טובים גם התלמידים וגם המורים. וקוראים פה דברים מאוד מאוד יפים. בכלל, מגמת הביצוע עובדת יפה. אז אלה שעדיין לא נמצאים, תחשבו על זה. אוקיי? ועכשיו אני רוצה לעבור לאנגלית, כי אני רוצה לכבד את האורחים שלנו. אני לא אדבר יותר מדי. בואו נרים את הגג. אוקיי? כשאני אגיד את השמות שלהם, נרים את הגג. הם לא יודעים מה זה נרים את הגג. Please welcome the most amazing bass players on earth. סטיב ביילי and ויקטור ווטן.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I want to clear something up really quickly. All right. Very quickly. Clear it up. Now, my Hebrew is way down. Like, way down. But I almost could tell by what Ari was saying that the person who somehow miraculously appeared with a 6-string fretless bass that came from Jerusalem, am I right? Is this my Huh? Oh. Well, see, I told you my Hebrew is bad. And I missed that part. Is that you? That was your bass? Excuse me 1 second. Vic, can you hold that? So when you're sitting in a plane, and the flight was so messed up from the beginning. I mean, I was supposed to fly nonstop from JFK in New York to Tel Aviv. And many hours later, I found myself in Rome, Italy. No luggage, nothing. And started thinking, okay, when I get there, I'm going to Israel. I'm sure everybody in Israel has a 6-string fretless bass in their closet, so I won't have a problem at all. Now, I was really kind of freaking out, and I was already imagining in my mind, how am I going to play the voicings and some of the extreme stuff that I have to do on a 4 or 5-string bass. So when I got to the airport, I'd gotten a text that there was a 6-string fretless bass, and
Amazing.
This is a holy country, and it was just further emphasized there that more miracles probably happen in Israel than anywhere else, and that's right up there with walking on water.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes. Next time, bring him some underwear too, please.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to go out and buy underwear than it is a 6-string fretless bass in Eilat, especially. Lots of underwear in Eilat, but not many 6-string basses.
All right. Hey, well, thank you all for being here. Thanks everyone at Rimon for making it possible. They did all the hard work, and all we had to do was show up. So thank you for that. Thank you. Hey, I want to thank Doobie, who's sitting here, and his beautiful wife, for actually making it possible for us to be here. This is Steve's first time in Israel, and I feel very lucky to be here with him on his first trip. I was lucky enough to have been here a few times with a few different bands, but it's always great to come back. And so, Doobie, thank you for making it possible for us.
Doobie Lins.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, so let's get into it. We don't have a plan for the whole time. We have some ideas, but we also want to make sure that you guys and girls get what you want. So we want to answer your questions. This is not really a concert, right? We did the concert a couple of nights ago, last night actually, and the night before, Friday and Saturday. But for me, and I think Steve agrees, right now we have a better opportunity than just a concert. We have an opportunity to actually learn from each other. And we don't get this opportunity at a concert. You can really pick our brains. Now, understand this. We don't think that we are the best bass players in the world. We don't approach it that way. But we both do. What we do for our career is what a lot of you would like to be doing. We get to travel the world, making money, making people happy, making music. That's amazing. Yeah. It really is. That really is amazing that we get to travel the world making people happy, doing what we love to do. And we've both been doing it our whole lives, pretty much, right? At least we've been doing it together since the early 90s. And long before that, Steve is lucky enough to have toured with Dizzy Gillespie.
Yes, I am that old. Yes, yes, it's true.
Paquito too, right?
Paquito de
Paquito de
Rivera,
Rivera.
yeah, in the jazz.
And that's just the jazz world. People like Willie Nelson and Jethro Tull and Kataro and the Rippingtons. This guy's been around the world playing with everyone. So, and I'm saying that to say, not that we're great, but we are doing what a lot of you would like to be doing. So since we're here, it would make sense to get inside of our heads, ask us questions, because we want you to get closer to doing what you want to do. We want you to leave here a step closer to realizing your dreams. And it can happen. We will play some more, but I do believe that more importantly, let's really learn from each other.
Let me just interject a little bit. We get to play music all over the world, which is great, and that's kind of how our careers got started, you know, in bands, traveling. And I've noticed that with Victor and myself, that the older we get, the more we care, not about what we know, but about what you know. And the more we care about education. And as is evidenced now, you know, me being the chair of the bass department at Berklee College of Music, which I know you guys are very familiar with, because you send so many great students from this school over there. A couple of guys. Anybody know Nadav? Yes. Like, you send people over there like that, and he comes like and sits down in my office and like looks at me. It's like the old cowboy movies, you know. He's got his 6 guns and he wants to shoot a little bit, and he can play. Wow. But so many great musicians come from here over there and from all over the world over to Berklee. So at this point in our lives, we care as much or more about sharing what we have with you and making sure that you can carry on when we're done. More so than we care, at least I speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure I speak for Victor, more than we care about impressing you or playing our music for you. And to the extent now that even Victor, 15 or 18 years ago, we started doing camps together, educational camps, and it led to Wooten Woods, which is this big, beautiful area in Tennessee where we teach. And now, speaking of Berklee, Victor is what we call a performance scholar in residence. He is on the faculty at Berklee College of Music. He's there every month for a solid week teaching.
It's nice to know people at Berklee. When you have a good friend, you can get some jobs.
Yeah. So, the focus, really, I hope you take advantage of it. I mean, we love playing, but we love sharing in ways that you won't get from buying a CD. So if you have questions, Vic, you ready?
Sure, just about. I want to thank our drummer that we just met a little while ago, Sharon. Amazing. And the coolest part is you guys were here for the rehearsal. That was the rehearsal. So we'll do the real gig when we go on tour and all of that. But really amazing just to walk in and play that well, not knowing what we're going to do is amazing. That's a drummer. That's a musician who's really listening. Thank you. So let me just say this. Steve and I I think one of the things that make us work together so well is that we've come from such different, opposite backgrounds and have ended up in similar places. Like for me, I was literally born into a band. And I mean that it's not a joke. It's for real. I'm the youngest of 5 brothers. My brother Reggie, my oldest brother, plays guitar. Roy, who is a drummer for Beyla Fleck and the Flecktones. Some people know him as Future Man. It's my brother Roy on drums. My brother Rudy plays sax. My brother Joseph plays keyboards. So when I was born, they needed a bass player. That's a true story. So right away, almost from birth, they would put a toy instrument in my hands and just have me strum along while they played. And so I grew up playing. By the time I was 5, we were out gigging and things like that. So that's the way I learned. I always say it's the same way you all learned to talk, right? Your parents just talked to you. They didn't say, oh, wow, my son wants to learn to speak. I need a teacher, you know. Go practice your alphabet, you know. They didn't do that. They just talked to you, and you learned naturally. And that's the way I learned to play music. So I learned and got better through gigging. I didn't go to school. And Steve's story is pretty much the opposite.
Exactly the opposite. I grew up with a normal childhood. I wasn't opening for Curtis Mayfield when I was 5 years old. I'm sure there's some laws about that. I grew up surfing on the coast, and I didn't get into music. I played a little bit of piano and trombone, of all things, which I think later on helped me really with the fretless. But I just remember in junior high when I was somewhere between 12 and 13 years old, and a drummer came to me and said, do you want to play bass in our band? And I wasn't really sure what a bass was. I mean, I kind of knew just sonically what it was, but I didn't know how it was tuned or anything. So I said, sure, I'll do it. And he said, we've got a gig in 2 weeks. I know that sounds like a bass joke, but it was true. So I went over to his house, and they had a band room set up in the top, and he played drums, and his brother played keyboards, and there was a guitar player there, and they had another guitar that was tuned down an octave. It didn't even have a bass. It just had these 4 strings on, and they were just tuned down. And I don't remember how they were tuned or anything. All the guitar player said, he said, play that note, and then play that note, and then do it with a rhythm like this. He said, go doon, 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 doon. And I'll never forget it, because I'm in the exact same position that I was in then, and I went. And I did that for the next 2 hours. And I'm not kidding. Anybody know that song? Yeah, All Along the Watchtower. That's all we knew. That's it. And we played that song, and I left that rehearsal. I had a blister on this finger and 2 blisters, and I was a bass player then. I fell in love with the bass. So 2 weeks later, we did the gig. You know, we did that song over and over, and then we played LaGrange by ZZ Top. Just the first part, because we couldn't figure out the other part of it. But we just looped the song over and over again, and that was our gig. But I fell in love with music late compared to Victor, and approached it because I was in school and I was already reading notation. So I just started translating this and listening to albums, and I found a teacher, and I found a double bass, and found a technique and a teacher for that. And I really started studying, and instead of brothers to nurture me, you know, I went to a college, and to this day, the people that were in college with me playing together, we still work together. And that's one thing I'll say to you from the beginning, and I love to say it to all of our Berkeley students and anybody this many musicians together, as you look around to each other, these are the people you're going to be working with in the future. Sure, there'll be more, but you guys are going to help each other. You're going to support each other. When somebody needs a drummer, you're going to, like I did, I always thought of a couple guys in college that were great players that went on to do great things. So when they did great things and they thought of a bass player, it was me. So as much as we learn in college from our professors and from our books and from listening to records, it's these relationships that we build now when we're young. These are what sustain us for many, many years. Because every relationship, if you and I become good friends and we make music together, then every friend you make is a musical friend of mine, because you can bring us together. And then that just spreads out and spreads out to where that's how we build a network. You know, that's how, as Vic said, we've been playing music since we were kids and making a living doing it. So keep that in mind as we build these relationships. It's important now. People think, oh, college doesn't matter. You know, when I get out in the real world, that's when it's really going to count. It counts now.
Absolutely. So what that really means is that your audition has already started. You've already started auditioning for gigs you don't even know about yet. Yes. Because, you know, 5-10 years from now, when the person you're sitting next to is the new head of some kind of music, whatever, and he thinks back about you 10 years earlier, and, you know, how is that person going to remember you from this moment? You know, you want that to be positive. So all the time, we're sitting around practicing our instrument, and what Steve is talking about is relationships. It's how we relate to people. Because if you're not fun to be around, people aren't going to hire you. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be that you could be, what's a kind way of saying, you could not have a good attitude, I'll just say it that way. But, you know, like, you know, there are some great musicians that we know of that we grew up listening to that didn't have great attitudes. But you couldn't find another one like them. There was only one guy like that or one girl like that, so you put up with it. Nowadays, if I don't like you, I'm going to go on the internet, hit a button, I'll find 20 more just like you. Right? You want a bass player that plays like Victor Wooten? Go online, you'll find another. It won't be exact, but it'll be good enough for what you need. So I need to make sure that my character, I need to make sure that you like hanging out with me, or else who's going to be on tour with you? Who's going to put up with you in the studio? And I could tell you countless stories. Stanley Clarke, it's been now about 6 years, he found his new drummer when he was tired of his old drummer. And the old drummer's the best I've ever heard.
Not tired of him musically. Not tired of the way his old drummer played. One of the greatest drummers in the world. He was tired of the relationship.
So he just went online and typed in world's greatest drummers. He found a kid that was still in high school who's still playing with him now, Mike Mitchell. Found him online. Nick Jonas from the Jonas Brothers says, I want to put together I need a female bass player. Went online, typed in female bass players, found a friend of mine from New York, Yuri, who came to camp. Yeah.
Didn't you just record a track with somebody you found online?
I did. I'm putting out a new record, and I heard this girl singing online from India. And she was singing, like, she's scat singing along with John Coltrane's Giant Step solo. She's also singing like this flute solo from a version of Spain, note for note, perfect pitch, and she's singing it with like Indian in phonetics, you know, the Carnatic singing and stuff. So I contacted her, and I sent her some melodies. She sang them, sent them back to me. It'll be on the new record, right? But the thing is that if I say, man, I want to bring this woman on tour, and we don't get along, if it's the Victor Wooten band and somebody's got to go, it ain't gonna be me. Right? You know, so
unless it really gets bad, and then everybody goes home.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm just talking a lot to say, make sure as much as you're working on your instrument, work on who you are as a person even more. Because that's what you can't get away from. You can put your instrument down, but you can't get away from yourself.
We've got a really good friend. Anybody know the band Snarky Puppy? Yeah. And Michael League is one of the coolest guys, and basically everything that Victor and I just spent 15 or 20 minutes talking about, Michael League summed it up one time. He said, you know, we have a drinking game in New York with friends. And he said, we just sit around, you know, we're having a beer or two, and we try to think of somebody who has these three qualities who is not working. And he goes, the qualities are, can you deliver musically? Can you deliver what needs to be played? Are you a good hang? Meaning, if you don't, that's a slang term, can you get along with people? Because can you bring the goods? That's 2 hours a day on tour. So there are 22 more hours for this hang part. And the third one, are you dependable? Because there are people who can play their butts off, and they're great hangs, but they're always late for the bus, not really leave the chords out of their bag, just something. But they try to think of three people who have those three qualities that aren't working, and they sit around and somebody say, well, I know one. It's, you know, it's Johnny. And they go, no. Johnny, the reason he's not working, have you ever waited for him on the bus? Because he's always the last one on the bus. So you scratch off the on-time part. So Michael just sums it all up. If you can deliver the goods musically, you are a good hang and you're dependable, you'll work. What that tells us, though, a lot of people aren't working. So somewhere in there, we need to take a look at ourselves and figure out what we're not bringing to the table. Because sometimes when you're not a good hang, guess who's the last one to know that you're not a good hang? You're always the last one to know. So it's good to have friends. Like Vic, we cherish a few people that are close in our lives that we can say, hey man, if I start acting like that, please tell me, you know? And we'll call each other out when things, so it's a good thing. If you're undependable, that'll be pretty obvious if you're not on time.
Absolutely. And none of them are really that hard to figure out, but it's worth it. And I'll say this is just me speaking. If you're spending 8 or more hours in a practice room practicing your instrument, you're probably not a person I want to hang out with. Because you probably don't have good people skills. Right? Haven't been hanging out with people. And we know people like that. They can kill on that instrument, but all they know is music. And when we're on tour and we get off stage, one of the last things I want to talk about is music.
Don't want to listen to it? Don't want to talk about it?
But some people are like that. You know, not everybody. I'm kind of just making a partial joke. But, you know, we're talking a lot about it. But just really, really make sure you're working on who you are. And I'll leave that topic with a quote that my mom told us when we were young kids. She would tell us 5 boys. She would say, what does the world need with just another good musician? She says, we have plenty. She says, what the world needs are good people. So if being a good musician is not making you a better person, something's off. Something's wrong. So as teachers, as students, friends, parents, children, we need to make sure that whatever we're spending this much time doing is not only making us better, but the people around us better also. That's very, very important, especially these times and these days.
Amen.
Thank you, Mom.
So Vic,
Yeah.
let's get down to the real stuff, man. What kind of strings do you use? I mean,
That's the important question,
yeah.
right?
If anybody asks that, you will be ejected from the room.
Oh, man. Hey, well, let's say this, and maybe we can talk about this for a bit. But one of the things about Steve and I that I love playing with Steve is that, again, we don't claim to be the best, but I will say this. We are For one, we have the most fun. I don't know many musicians that have as much fun as we do on stage. I don't know many. But the other thing is that we are free musicians. In other words, we can just get up here and play. No worry. No rehearsal. No thought. Not much of a care. And wherever Steve goes, I follow. Wherever I go, he follows. And it not only is a shame, but it really makes me sad that most of the musicians I run across, I won't even say can't do it, but don't out of fear. Most of us are afraid of messing up. And here's the truth. Listen to this closely. The audience doesn't care if you mess up. They don't, right? You heard me mess up. You don't care.